This lecture reviews summaries used in two-sample studies. It is in Module 2, Comparing Groups. Let's look at the summaries in the context of our first study example. Remember that we're looking at the relationship between taking or not taking AP or college courses and how much sleep the students had. We are comparing two entirely separate groups. We are still interested in finding the mean and standard deviation. However, since there are two groups, we will have two means and two standard deviations, one for each group. Therefore, the n in these formulas now represents the sample size of each group instead of the sample size for all the groups combined. We can calculate the mean for each group just as we calculated the mean for the entire sample. However, we must specify in Excel the start and end points for the two groups. Column E contains the information on whether or not the students took AP or college courses. 0 if they did not, or 1 if they did. Those who did not have their sleep hours in cells G2 through G1709, while those who did have their sleep hours in cells G1710 through G2061. Those who did not take any AP or college courses had an average sleep time of 7.01 hours, while those who took one or more AP or college courses had an average sleep time of 6.79 hours. We can use the same information to find the standard deviation for each group. Remember that we use the function stdev.s, as this calculates the standard deviation for a sample. Those who did not take AP or college courses had a standard deviation of 1.2458, while those who did take AP or college courses had a standard deviation of 1.0934. We can make a histogram for each group to compare similarities or differences in center and spread. We see that the top histogram has a slightly larger mean than the bottom histogram, which reflects what we saw 2 slides ago for the mean sleep hours. The top histogram also has a slightly larger spread. That is, there's more variation in the observations than the bottom histogram. Both histograms have an approximately normal or bell curve shape, and there are no apparent outliers. Let's review the information for study example 2. We will be comparing the sleep habits of college students based on class standing, so the groups will be divided based on class standing. The idea behind this is that typically those with a higher class standing are taking more difficult classes, so we can use this as a proxy for difficulty of course load. In Concept Practice 5, you will calculate the means, standard deviations, variances, and histograms for the two groups.